Hey everyone, welcome. Today we are digging into one of nature's most fascinating little paradoxes. We're talking about a flower that doesn't bloom from soil, but from sand and stone. This is the incredible story of the desert rose.
It's a great question, right? I mean, look at it. It looks so delicate, like a blossom that's been frozen in time, but it's pure rock. So how in the world does the desert create its own unique bouquet? Well, let's find out. All right, so first things first, let's really break down what we're looking at here. When you see a desert rose, what is it, geologically speaking? So here's the crucial thing to remember. This is not a fossilized plant. Desert rose is what we call a specific mineral formation. It's basically a cluster of crystals, usually either gypsum or barite, that have grown in this really unique way that traps a ton of sand right inside them, creating this absolutely incredible structure. And that's really the magic of it, isn't it? The name comes from that uncanny resemblance to a flower. It's just one of those perfect examples of nature creating what looks like art through pure, raw geology. So how do they get that perfect shape? Well, those petals aren't petals at all. They're actually flattened crystals. As these crystals form, they grow outwards, fanning out in a circular pattern. And as they do that, they trap sand directly into their structure. That's what gives them that unmistakable rose-like shape and that sandy texture. So how does this geological magic actually happen? It's not random at all. It all comes down to a very specific recipe of ingredients and conditions that really only the desert can provide. You need three key things. First, you need a dry, sandy environment. A desert, obviously. Second, you need a big source of the right kinds of minerals dissolved in the groundwater, like calcium sulfate, which is what forms gypsum. And third, and this is super important, you need seasonal changes in the water levels, which gives you the powerful force of evaporation. The whole process plays out in 5 key steps. It starts with minerals dissolving in groundwater. Then, as that water evaporates in the desert heat, the leftover mineral molecules start to bunch together, forming a tiny little seed crystal. That's called nucleation. Next, more of those dissolved minerals latch onto that seed, growing the blade-like petals. After that, other minerals act kind of like a natural cement, binding everything together and making it strong. And finally, over time, wind and water do their thing, eroding the sand away and exposing the finished desert rose for us to find. And here is a wild detail. While most geological formations take millions of years to form, the desert rose is what you might call a geological sprinter. These things can form in just a few decades, or maybe a few hundred years. That is incredibly fast, which helps explain why we can find them in so many deserts around the world. But it turns out, desert rose isn't just one single thing. Not all of them are identical. There's actually a whole family of these amazing crystal formations. Okay, so the 2 main types you'll probably come across are the gypsum rose and the barite rose. The gypsum rose is definitely the most common one. You can usually spot it by its sharper, more clearly defined crystal edges. The barite roses, on the other hand, are made of a heavier mineral. They tend to have softer, more rounded petals, and often have this beautiful rusty red color that comes from iron oxides in the sand where they form. Then you've got the rarer relatives. There's the Celestine rose, which is known for its beautiful, faint sky blue color. And then there's something called the sand rose, which is, well, it's a bit of an imposter. It's not a true crystal formation, but it's just sand grains that have been cemented together by calcite into a very similar shape. Now that we know what they are and how they're made, the big question is, where on Earth can you actually find these stone flowers? Let's take a look at some global hotspots. The most famous location, hands down, is the Sahara Desert. In parts of Tunisia, Algeria, and Libya, you can literally find vast fields of them. They're so common there that locals collect and sell them to tourists, and it's become a really important part of the local economy. But they're also found right here in the United States, most famously in Oklahoma. There, they're just called the Rose Rock. These are mostly barite roses that formed about 250 million years ago when a shallow sea covered the area. And back in 1968, it was proudly named the official state rock of Oklahoma. And they get seriously big in Oklahoma. I mean, while most are small enough to fit in your hand, people have found clusters that weigh over 1,000 pounds. That's more than 450 kilograms. Can you even imagine stumbling across a cluster of stone roses that big? So this amazing geological wonder doesn't just stay out in the desert. It's made its way from deep within the sand right into our modern lives, taking on a whole new meaning and significance for us.
People value the desert rose for so many reasons. Its unique natural beauty makes it a stunning piece of home decor or even jewelry. It's a hugely popular souvenir, like a tangible piece of the desert you can take home. And for some people, it holds a deep spiritual significance, symbolizing things like abundance and prosperity. It's also used in some crystal healing practices, though it is important to point out those claims aren't supported by scientific evidence.
Ultimately, the desert rose is just a beautiful reminder. It shows us that even in the most seemingly barren, empty landscapes, there are these incredibly intricate and beautiful processes quietly at work, creating absolute wonders just beneath the surface.
And that leaves us with one final thought to take away. The desert rose was a secret, hidden in plain sight. And it just makes you wonder, what other incredible secrets are still hiding out there, just waiting to be discovered, in the world's most barren places?